Good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday Wisdom with Elizabeth Eleanor, and we are here with the beautiful Kate Kendall. Kate and I, have we met? We've actually met at a conference, right?
Yeah.
When I was speaking at the conference, yeah. And Kate and I have a similar mission. We're here to awaken people up to who they truly are, and yours has got a slight twist to it, right? Because you work with people in their health.
Yeah, I do. So hello everyone, and those that are watching or watching on the replay, thank you for listening in. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Elizabeth. So I help women to be able to connect back into their body, and food has, food and things externally can, seem to control or have people make choices that they maybe aren't actually really aligned with who they truly are. So it's really about getting people to come back into their heart, and that's the power of the breath. Is breath work is a real love of mine, to have people really connect back into their body and have them understand their emotions around the relationship with food and things that are happening externally, and what do we use to actually push those emotions down, and how do we actually allow those emotions and understand how beautiful all of those emotions are, and if we can actually be kind to them and see what are those actual emotions telling us, and what is our body telling us when we've got pains, when we've got aches, all those kind of things. What is that telling us, so that we can actually make decisions and choices and release those emotions instead of pushing them down all the time. That's kind of in summary. And what food are we kind of putting in our mouth, the drinking, and all those things that are suppressing our emotions and hiding from what's actually really going on. And people can be scared of actually understanding what is going on. So just teaching and empowering women to know that they're safe to be able to work through those things, because it's freeing. It's just so freeing.
It's so true. It's and especially the last 2 years. The last 2 years have been intense for everyone. Even if you're someone that copes with stress quite well, it's in the air, right? It's like the last 2 years have been. We've been in survival mode again, which is our body goes into just coping. And so tell us a little bit.
Just getting by, isn't it? It's like, I've just got to survive each and every day, and that's their celebration of just getting by.
Yeah. And so and we can be a bit numb to it, because we had our massive triggers, like it all sort of was quite strong, and then it sort of petered away. But someone said to me the other day, I can't remember exactly how they said it, but that we're in the hangover stage, like this stage where we've sort of forgotten, but we're still feeling the effects at the same time. So tell us a little bit about what you tell us actually what you do, like working with women to support them. But so you've been doing this for how long?
I've been in the industry, the health. I started as a PT about 8 years ago. So I did run boot camps, and I trained people in the gym. So it was more about just the physical aspect and of the body. And then kind of a few years went on, I bought into a business that unfortunately didn't go, it was still in the industry. It was a boot camp business. And unfortunately, I was on my journey, and I just didn't maybe have the skills, didn't kind of, trust my own gut, and with a certain, a few things, without going into it too much. But that really was a big change in my life and in my career, and in business. And that, unfortunately, I closed that down and had to take a loss, and still kind of had a bit of that carrying on for until today type thing, but financially. But So I really went on the mindset journey, and that's where I fell in love with the breath. And because I had so many emotions, because I'd had a breakup not a few years before that, which I hadn't really understood and knew how to deal with, and I had pushed a lot down, just not feeling myself, like you said, the kind of hangover, that aftermath of just not feeling myself and not feeling, just kind of I was kind of getting used to just feeling blah, and not feeling great, even though I was still I was quite disciplined with my, my exercise and my eating, but my eating binging would go up, and the drink, I'd drink and then I would feel terrible. And it kind of, I was on this yo-yo up and down, emotionally mainly, which I was trying to feel better about. So I'd eat, and then I'd, then beat myself up. And that's what so many women do as well. Eat or drink, then feel terrible, and, then beat themselves up. And then the emotions are actually more damaging than the actual food, really, that they're actually eating. But yeah, so I kind of went on my own emotional kind of journey as I was still doing business, and fell in love with the breath work, understanding my own emotions. And that's where I brought, that into my coaching. When I went online probably 5 years ago, around about. So I'm a life coach, I'm a personal trainer, NLP, and I've got hypnosis, which I'm not practicing as much, but I want to start using some of those practices. But yeah, I just, the love, and I'm a breathwork practitioner as well. So those modalities I bring in to have women making healthy choices, looking at the food they're having, not having restricted, the restrictive dieting, and be able to, work through those emotions so that they will have their reactions and their responses to certain situations, and they start to get back to who am I? Who actually am I? And that's what a lot of people lose, whether you're a mum or not a mum. But I think a lot of mums lose that identity, like who they truly are. And identity is another thing, creating an identity that they, changing the identity of who they actually are to create behaviours and standards to live that life, that healthy inside and out, creating that change on a sustainable long-term way.
Yeah. And emotions are so important. Like we have not been conditioned as a society to master our emotions, or even to acknowledge them, or everything's about suppression, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I didn't have a very good relationship with anger. I was not, I grew up with, dad raising, the way mum and dad would communicate, and they still kind of do it to today. They'll communicate, but the levels and the tones are like, and dad would get angry. So, and whenever I was around anger, I would feel very like it really scared me.
Yeah.
And there was obviously times as a kid that would, kind of come up for me, and going into an adult, that was something for me. So when I started doing the breath work, and I would never say I'm angry, because I didn't want to be like dad. I didn't want to be angry, so I wouldn't say I'm angry about anything. I'd say I'm a bit frustrated, I'm sad about it, or annoyed. Like they're the kind of language I'd use, because I didn't want to be angry. And then when I worked out what anger was, and that it was signs for me to go, okay, something is actually gone, there's a boundary that's overstepped, or there's something that's had me feel a certain way, or I didn't like something, it was all connected to my gut and situations, and not ignoring those, because I was ignoring my gut feeling, or how I was, what my body was actually telling me in many situations, through business especially, that I'd not trusted what felt right for me, and made decisions which were detrimental to my life and my business. And so once I started to understand what anger was, and know that there was no, because I had shame and guilt around, if I was going to experience that or express that, how do I do that? And so I learned I couldn't even actually, I had to do a lot of throat, because I couldn't actually yell, like
express it,
right?
So
I'd pushed it down. And even when we did the therapy at the breath work, everyone was screaming, like yelling and screaming and letting it out, and you could see their physiology and everything change, right? And here I am, like this little girl, like, and I was crying, like, and
completely triggered by the whole experience. I can imagine. Yeah.
So it really had me be like, wow. And then seeing their experience and how freeing it was for them, and they were like, like, didn't even, like, it was like water off a duck's back, right? And it was like they felt so good. And so I did a lot of work around that, and I started by just trying to get my voice out and scream, and it was like a little to start with. It was really funny. And then I'd practice in the car, like if I felt frustrated about something, I would go out in the car and I'd scream, like try to learn how to scream and yell. And so I just kind of started practicing that and feeling, like, observing how I felt in those situations when frustration came up, and then, is it anger? So now I've learned some more, using the breath and the practices that I can do to feel it in those moments, and then I can pass through it. It's just energy in the body, and let it out.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, isn't it? We can use our body to be a conduit of, clearing and releasing these things, and not like just observing, as you were saying, like it's an observation that this is an emotion coming up. And once you acknowledge it, you can move through that into another emotion, and into, being able to resolve what it is, use it as a stepping stone to, okay, this is how I was feeling. Now that I've cleared that out of the cells of my body, I can now move into what is it that I choose to create instead in this situation, and, like step into, some form of empowerment in the situation.
Absolutely, because as you know, like you do a lot of this stuff, there's layers of it. So I might, sometimes you move through, and with the core clearing, we move through, might start as, the language might be frustration, and then it's like, yes, it is actually feeling anger, and then anger can move to sadness, and then, you go through the sadness, there might be a little bit of anger still there, and then you kind of, once you go through those layers, it comes back to peace, calmness, or, emptiness, and then you clear it to go, okay. And it's like the energy, just describing energy going through, it's flowing through the wires, and it's like the body, it needs to flow. And it makes sense, doesn't it, if we're going to actually just push it down into the belly, and if someone's got belly pain, or if someone's got back pains, there's always, that there can be an emotion that's actually been, holding on in those areas.
Caught up.
Right? So, 'cause
absolutely.
That flow is not actually being processed and released out of the body. So it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And just, because, like, I just want to sort of stop on the anger thing for a little minute, because I was going to say excuse me, I was going to say that society, like the whole good girl syndrome, and like women that are angry are aggressive, and there's something distasteful about them or whatever. But as I was thinking about it, men are also being suppressed with their anger as well, and one of the things that as you were talking, I was like, one of the things I sort of was feeling into is because we sort of go, that person's an angry person. Yeah. And so, like there's then a label of, this is who they are. They're an angry person, or they're a, emotional person, or so they're, we're labeled with, this is where we're at, instead of, I think I might have even shared it on here. I had an experience maybe a month ago or something, where something with my family, and I was so pissed off. I was like, that was my first, because I'm pretty good at feeling all my emotions, right? Yeah. So I was pissed off at it. I expressed it. I got it out of my system. I then went into annoyance, and then was frustrated, and I let all of the thoughts that were happening in my head of what had happened previously, and maybe the stuff that I hadn't brought up, to clear and bring balance into or express, that I then dealt with all of them in my head. And then once I could feel it clear in my body, okay, now you're here, what do you want to do with it? What do you, now that you've cleared it all out of your body, and when you do that, you can sort of go into that forgiveness of, the situation and the person, because, they're coming from their situation and whatever. But then you've got more power, right? You've got more strength in yourself to be the balanced, strong woman that says, okay, this situation isn't something I can change, but this is how I can respond to it instead of reacting because of blocked emotions from previous, experiences or whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you've described that well, because it is amplified when we're in the moment. And, we people tend to, and I've done it in the past, it's like something comes up, an email or a text message, or someone says something. It's, a little bit more challenging, obviously, when someone's in front of you. But I think we feel that society or we've trained ourselves to feel that we've got to respond straight away. And we're not allowed to ask for time to think and process. Process things, that we've got to come up with a defense. We've got to say something. We've got to, and then with text messages come through that maybe you've read it in a certain way, or an email, and then it's like you respond with that reaction of what emotions are going on. But as you said, once you were able to process that and work out what that was, and listen to the thoughts and observe the thoughts and the feelings that were going on and experiencing, you then can come back to center and neutral, as you said, and go, okay, now look at this situation through different lenses, and you can then go, yeah, okay, I can see, as you said, from love, or what might be going on for that person, because we can go into victim as well, can't we, and go, oh well, this has happened to me and they're doing it purposely to me, and all those kind of things, where it's not generally is not that way. People aren't maliciously out to go, I'm going to hurt you, or I'm going to hurt you, right?
People think too much of themselves to worry about you. Yeah. When you get that, things really shift, right?
Absolutely. And we're just giving ourselves, I think it's the permission to stop and go, okay, you can acknowledge that message. Like if you're going backwards and forwards, I tell my clients this when their situations come up with their husband or friend or whatever. If a situation comes up and they are triggered or something, let's use the word triggered by what's being said or the situation, they feel they've got to respond straight away. And I just say, well, just acknowledge, thank you for the message. I'm just I'll come back to you.
Yeah, I need to think about that. Yeah,
I want to just sit with this and not respond, because when we respond, we don't come from a place of centered calmness, and that's where things get amplified and fights happened and problems happened and all those kind of things. So, and that comes back to then the choices that we're making with our foods, because then we're amplified, we're stressed. People are stressed and anxious, or those types of things. So it's then go for the foods that are going to help to that dopamine hit of that immediate satisfaction. And then that goes, then you go again, and it's just that vicious kind of cycle of what's going to kind of push this away and push this down. So, and also with what I just wanted to touch on with what you said about the anger and people being angry people, it's not that someone's having an angry, feeling angry in that moment, they're an angry person, and that we are labeling, and that it's not attractive for a woman to be, and you've got to women aren't meant to be angry, like we're meant to be the good girl, as you said. And I was talking to someone the other day, I'm working with women in the corporate and business world, and because I was in corporate, and I didn't feel that I could I was very masculine, because I was in the masculine industry. I was trained, I ended up not realizing I was a trained D, even though I'm an introvert, but an extrovert, but I am actually an introvert. So I've kind of got, trained myself, as well as I am very good at talking to people and communicating, but I really like my time on my own. But in the corporate world and holding that space in that masculine, that women feel that they can't have all of the other emotions to be successful in a business, so we shut that down to stay in those leadership roles and stay in those management roles, because we can't, I felt that I wasn't able to, and I see it happening, that women can't be, it's happening, it's a bit more coming to, women are being more empowered.
It's slow though, isn't it?
It is slow.
Especially in those really high-end corporate, I personally don't live in that world at all, but some, I can't remember, just recently, I think I was talking to some people that gave me some, clarity of what it's like, and I'm like, wow, is that still going on? It's crazy, isn't it? Like that's the sort of thing that really needs to shift.
Yeah.
Is bringing in that balance, but that's the way the world is at the moment, right? So
absolutely, women to be able to, and men to be able to feel that they can have the feminine, softer side, as well as the women softening. And I even know for myself, softening a bit more into more of my feminine, because I have been so, I've been on my own too. So I've kind of, that I can come across in that strong, the stronger masculine, holding my space, independence and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's allowing ourselves to I'm a lot better with all my emotions, but I don't maybe, I do a lot of it on my own and at home. So I'm learning to, and I do it in front of people. Like I do share my, emotions if I am experiencing them. I don't shut them down at the time, but just even, to allow, to help women to be able to feel safe around, because automatically when someone's sad or crying or whatever, people are like, oh, poor thing, or, want to, jump in on that as well.
And trigger and suppress it still, instead of allowing it.
Yeah.
And we haven't got much time, but I just wanted to ask you, how do you incorporate, the power of the breath with that process is so important, right? Because the breath can be a tool to suppress, like people stop breathing, they do the shallow breathing, it can be a tool either way. So
yeah, absolutely.
How do you go about using the breath with that in your processes?
Yeah, so I do call clearing, which is a longer process, but through my programs, I am teaching women, and I do some group sessions, so teaching women how to just stop and be and really witnessing their breath, because not many people know and actually stop to witness what their breathing is doing. And that's where the panic attacks, as you said, the short, shallow breathing. So, and some people get really lightheaded once they start to do the deeper kind of breathing, because they're so used to being such short breathing. So I'm teaching techniques around how do you, like I do longer ones as well as, small kind of ways of while you're on the toilet, like, just taking that moment to observe. It all starts with awareness, like any change, isn't it? It's awareness. What are you observing? And once you're aware of something, then you can start to make the changes. And so I teach through the practices of just stopping and going, oh, I'm feeling really like I'm shallow breathing, my heart rate's going up and things like that. So then teaching them to take a little bit of a longer breath and giving them different counts and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's awesome. And so Kate, how do people get in contact with you if they're interested in working with you?
Yeah, cool. They can reach out to me, Kate Kendall, and I'll put the links in once we jump off.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to contact me, just send me a message. I'm running an 8-week challenge starting next week, which is a mind-body transformation, which is going to have breath and emotional work in it. I'm actually testing a few new things, so I'm doing it at a really discounted price if anyone wants to come on board. So help women to feel amazing by Christmas with dropping 5 kilos. And it's not all about the weight, it's about the inner work, and the external world will change. And yeah, we're going to be doing a bit of a detox, which is not stopping any, not having, foods or anything like that. It's actually having really yummy, tasty food for medicine, and we're going to do that 10 days and then lead into a 6 weeks of healthy eating and enjoying that process, and just, you know, having healthy foods that are easy. People make things so difficult, and
there's so much out there, right? Like, it's so, you know, what works for, you know, and as you said, it's not about the dieting, or, you know, like, it's about, you know, adding wholesome food in so that your body is, you know, fully nourished.
Yeah.
And because when the body's fully nourished, right, the emotions can stabilize because the hormones stabilize, and
Exactly. So and it's, you know, a lot of people have been asking me how, you know, what do I have to do? And like, when am I going to, like, are you doing things at certain times? It's not about that. It's about I'm going to give the frameworks, and I'm going to give the support, and it's a community, but it's how do you make these changes? They've got to do the work. You know, but it's about putting things into the lifestyle so that you can create the lifestyle that, you know, that person actually wants, and just feel great. That's what I think a lot of people are settling for, not feeling, you know, just like, I feel blah, and I feel tired, and I feel this, and I feel that, and settling for that's how it has to be. It doesn't have to be like that. So
no, and yeah, exactly. Like, and then we make you know, definitions. Well, you know, I'm getting old, or I'm, you know, you know, I'm sitting around this is the way it is now, right? Instead of actually doing something about it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm hearing that. It's just my age. I've turned this age, and it's just I'm not buying that. Like, I'm 45. I've just turned 45, and I'm not. I'm gonna try and, you know, age very gracefully and not look my age and feel my age. I don't want to be feeling like a lot of people, women, I'm finding, are saying they're feeling, you know, 10 years, 15 years old. Let's stop that. Like, let's have the body. The body is can heal itself. The body is so powerful, and the mind, you know, we can change all that if you choose.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to, you got to choose your heart. You got to choose your hard. Stay where you are and at hard, or you make slight changes that are hard, feel hard at the time, and they have an amazing result at the end. So that's what I love doing. So
yeah, it sounds awesome. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. And anyone that's watching, there'll be links in there. So jump in and check out what Kate's doing. And that 8-week program sounds awesome. So get in there and have a look at what's happening, because, you know, most people do something after Christmas. So it's really nice to know there's something before Christmas to really, you know, get those patterns and behaviors sorted, so that you're not, you know, going after Christmas, holy crap, what happened? And then, you know, that whole binge detoxing, you know, or binge dieting. It's ridiculous.
Why be 12 weeks? You know, we've got 12 weeks or, you know, 10 weeks or something to New Year's. Why wait 12 weeks? And well, you know, potentially people are 12 kilos heavier.
Yeah.
You know, like that time. And, you know, and feeling, you know, even worse than what that, you know, and feel sluggish and yuck and gross, and they're beating themselves up emotionally, internally, because they're an idiot. They've done it again. They're, you know, another year's gone by. Let's finish off with a bang. I've got 5 spots left at, you know, $5. You know, it's about a coffee a day, the price of it. So it's a no-brainer.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, five spots, ladies. Let's see if we can get some women of light doing this process and starting to create the body and the life that they want, because, you know, that goes and extends into so many other things, you know, like, you know, if I look this way, then I won't be able to find the relationship, or my partner won't like me, and changes all the stuff that goes on, right, with us and our bloody head that tells us all this crazy stuff, right?
It affects intimacy and connection and you know, relationships, socializing. People aren't going out. It's not about the weight. It's about those other things outside of that. People come to me for weight, but it's not that.
No, that's right.
That's a bonus on the other side. But I'm actually offering a guarantee as well. If you follow my lead, follow my guide, and you don't feel amazing and drop those 5 kilos, I'll train you and coach you till you do.
Awesome. Excellent. Sounds awesome, Kate.
Cool.
Excellent. Take care, ladies, and we'll catch you soon. Thank you, Kate.
See ya.